If you want to do something, do it now. 80 years old, I was still able to do it and see it. And I look back and I say, thank heavens I did it.
Myrna, thank you so much for being here and for taking the time to speak with me. And I'm so excited to meet you and talk with you today.
I'm 81 years old, 81 years young. 81 years young. I don't like to put a number on it. I have lived a very interesting life, a very adventurous life, because I have lived in a few places and we've traveled the world. So I canceled 7 trips during this COVID period. So I have been fortunate. My whole life has not been, roses, but I have been fortunate to live a very cultural, very traveled, adventurous life. My husband is 88 years old. He's out walking right now. And he went through a lot, but he went through cancer, went through a lot of different things, but he loves to walk. He walks and walks. He doesn't just walk for an hour. He could walk for 2 hours, 3 hours. So he is really, really in good health. So what else can I tell you? I can tell you that 5 years ago, I gave up eating sugar because then I was pre-diabetic, gone. I was high blood pressure, gone. I have arthritis. It doesn't hurt me as much. So, then I was cholesterol free, but I'm back on cholesterol. I try to be positive. My life is every day with all this going on. I say I'm in gratitude. Gratitude is my favorite word because I'm happy to be walking on my 2 legs, not bent over. I feel that life, what gives us lemons and we make lemonade. So that's really my attitude. I've always been the one caretaking and worrying about everybody, even friends. But I like to see, one friend yesterday said, you don't complain. Well, what is complaining going to be doing? I have some health problems, but I go to a doctor, I manage them. It's managing yourself. And I always think I had that philosophy actually in my youth. My mother, who lives in my heart, gave me a good feeling of who I am today. She gave me a lot of love. And I think that's very important because that carries you. A lot of people who've had families and a lot of dysfunctioning families, we have a little bit of dysfunction too. But I really, really feel that we just have to look on the brighter side and look at the glass half full rather than empty. I am gray haired. This was not something in my life I had ever planned because I don't call it gray, I call it silver. Never, never. I always associated this color hair with old age. And during this time of COVID, I couldn't go out. I used to color my hair. Well, slowly, 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 this color came in. And I was fortunate because, another thing I have to say, I have been 40, 45 years, I have a massage once a week. Somebody comes to the house. I believe in massages. I'll tell you. Anyhow, she cut my hair. I haven't been to the hairdresser yet, but I've received so many compliments on this color with me, and I've begun to like it. I feel younger with it. I feel alive with it. I feel like I have different colors I can wear with it. It's given me a whole new lease on life. Energy, 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 energy. So this is something that was a negative and it's become such a positive. I feel that we have to live in the day. I have not much life ahead of me, had a long life behind me, but I remember those with pleasant and sometimes unpleasant memories. But I want to deal today and not think about the end. I have in my head, I want to live to 100. I know somebody who's 105. So I want to, if I live to 100, but I want to be happy. I want to be healthy, 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 healthy. Maintaining a proper weight is one of the most important things because I know it doesn't affect your organs, it could affect everything. And sugar, I know, is so harmful to the body. So you have to be really positive. And I have a piece of artwork up on the wall that I got about 2 years ago, and it says gratitude. And I am in gratitude, totally, totally, you know, and as the time is now. I have another something said, the time is now. So we can't keep, look at, we all have regrets. We could have done this, we could have done that. How come I didn't invest in this? How come I wasn't wise enough? How is that going to help us? It doesn't help us at all. So I feel we have to have mental acuity. We need to really be there. And I feel during this, there's only 2 days that during this whole period of time, that I got up and I was in my PJs all day long. I get up, I get dressed. My husband every day going nowhere, going from one room to another, but at least we're presentable. And that's another thing. When people get older, I find that sometimes they don't take care of themselves. They are lazy or they just don't care anymore. And that's another thing I did have from my mother. She always was a person who always liked taking care of herself. She had, the diabetes was very bad. She wasn't as slender as I, but she was always caring about herself. And I think you need, another thing, since I've been 21 years old, why or what, but I've been getting facials. I believed in facials. I believed in manicures. Of course, I always believed in taking care of the hair and taking care of the body with lotions and creams. And I wasn't a vain person, but I like to take care of myself. And that's what I feel. You take care of your furniture, you take care of your home, you take care of your dog. Well, I think it's moi. We need to take care of ourselves, the most important. And I used to say, if I take care of myself first, then I can take care of my family, and then I can take care of my community and my friends. And if that's being selfish, that's being selfish. But I think that is where I come from. And I feel great. I feel really good. I try not to let what's going on in the world affect me. It does affect you. Can't help it. But you have to rise above it, and you have to rise above the politics of the world. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what you do. If you don't have health, you have nothing. You have nothing, and you could be living in a castle. And if you can't walk, if you can't think, dementia I try to do things for that. I take lion's mane
Mhm.
for cognitive, and I believe in herbal and a lot of herbal pills and things. So nobody tells me, but it's just my belief. And I'm always learning, trying to learn, keeping the mind alive. I did Pilates for 18 years. Then I had my hips, so that stopped it. I had 2 hip replacements. So, but I was such a believer in Pilates, and I think what it's done is I held on to it. I also go for physical therapy. I have some pain in my body, in my back. So I do that. And so from that, there's some exercises I do. But I haven't been walking like I could. And I really didn't do aerobics because I live in a home that has, it's a 4-story home. I'm up and down those stairs. I never think about it. I am up and down 60 stairs a day, 30 stairs a day. So I feel like I'm moving. I do have help occasionally, twice a week, but I do a lot of my work around the house too. I know how to iron. I still can do washing. I'm always moving, and I think that, in its sense, because I'm in constant movement.
If you were talking to a 30-year-old, 40-year-old who was telling you, Oh, I really want to thrive for as long as I can. What would be the three things you would say to them of like, here's the three things that I think are most important to thrive long term?
Well, I think it's very important to eat proper foods, foods that give you energy. And because I was such a uh, food addict, I didn't realize how it could hurt you. Anyhow, I would say eating a really proper diet, exercise, absolutely 100%. I feel is so important, and I feel that challenging the mind with things that maybe that you feel afraid of, not to really let their mind bog themselves down. I always used to say, you know, don't let small things bother you, because what happens, it gets in the way of your thinking. It gets in the way of you carrying on for the next day. You need to be able to challenge yourself with a clear mind. So, and of course, you know, it's a fourth, but I think that people need to have adventure in their life. They need to be able to travel, to hike, anything that they can get outside in the world to stimulate them, because that's very important. Live your life every day. When I was in London, I lived my life every day like it was going to be the last. So I traveled a lot. I did things with my young little kids. I mean, that is the one thing I have a list, and I still do it. I don't like to carry things over to the next day. I like to make sure that I have a list and I tick it off of things that I want accomplished. I feel accomplishing things in your life, no matter how small, no matter how great, are things that you should be doing, because you can say, good for you. Pat yourself on the back. You did it. You did it well. I think a woman, if she's married, should have her own money and be independent. I think it's one of the most important things that she can do. Nobody can tell me what to do. Nobody can say, I made enough money that we had, what did I have? We my husband always liked to have some money, a mortgage. I just paid off some of the mortgage in the house, and I've bought art. I have been an independent woman, and I think being I was lucky, not maybe not lucky. I used my brains, and I was very lucky. I've helped my brother. I've helped my kids, myself. And if that doesn't make you feel good, not just being on the tailcoats of somebody you live with or somebody you're married to. So I have been in an age when women were not that independent. Okay. And maybe because I got married when I was 28 and it was old, at that time. I had just turned 28. So uh, I was teaching, moved into New York. I had an independent life, traveled to Europe, got married, and I married a man who, because I was independent, I never said, may I? I said, I'm going. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And he encouraged me, always encouraged me to be an independent person. And that's something that really is very, very important. That's what I would tell the young people, to be independent, to save, even if you're sharing, to have what I call is a little pishki, to put the money away so that you have, it's wonderful to share and to do everything, but you should have your own money. You should be able to do what you want. Nobody should tell you what you can do and what you can't do, because you're an independent person. And I always say we came in by ourselves and we leave by ourselves. So even though you're in a relationship, you should have independence. That to me is, I guess, maybe that is the most important thing that I can think of. And value your friends. You don't need a lot, but you need those that you can talk to those that you can learn from, those that you can share. Now, last year I turned 80, and I still, of course, have friends in London. And I have a friend that was living in, she was in Florida and coming home. And she said, "You can have my apartment for a week." And then I was staying with her for an extra 2 weeks. And I had friends that said, "Oh, come stay with me." Well, I was so delighted to be on my own. I wanted to see what I could do. I wanted to be able to take the bus. I wanted to, I went to, I had never been to Buckingham Palace. They opened it up. I went on a tour to Buckingham Palace. I did things that I hadn't done even when I was living there because I was always going back. But I had the freedom of going off to the theater on my own, also seeing friends and doing things, but going out to dinner on my own and then going to the theater. When I was in London, I walked 9 miles around the city, 9 miles, walked all of London. I couldn't believe it because I just went on and on and on and on. And I said I could do it. 80 years old, I was still able to do it and see it. And I look back and I say, thank heavens I did it. If you want to do something, do it now. We are in the now, so we don't have regrets. And I guess I do live with a lot of philosophies, and you've gotten to know kind of the inner me that some people don't really get to know. And I hope that I've been helpful in who I am and some of my philosophies. Oh, I didn't even tell you something else. One other thing I have to tell you.
Yeah.
Last year, I went with a younger friend of mine who owns an RV, but what are the silver RVs called?
The Airstream.
We went on an Airstream. I went with her for 2 weeks. And where did we go? We went to Zion. We went to Bryce. We went to Moab. Came through, I've been up to Sedona and all. And then we went to, it was the most fantastic trip of my, we were supposed to do another one, but because of the COVID. But can you imagine? There I was in my 80th year in the Airstream. Loved it. Loved it. Thank you. Be well, be safe.
Likewise.